Until recently, the sidewalks of Falls Village were a narrow, overgrown hodgepodge from the 1950s. Many people who lived along Main Street wanted them improved, but that's not all. Main Street had once been part of Route 126, a wide thoroughfare that encouraged motorists to drive fast. Residents complained. In 2008, First Select Woman Pat McCare embarked on a major project to redo the sidewalks, beautify the center of town, and slow the dangerous traffic. She helped organize the Northwest Connecticut Regional Planning Collaborative, which over several years won modest grants to develop plans for the center of Falls Village. Meanwhile, the Falls Village Planning and Zoning Commission studied the center of town in regards to conservation and development. How could improvements be made without losing the area's rural, historic ambiance? Just as planning and zoning finalized its vision for Main Street, the state of Connecticut announced grants for small-town projects like the one under consideration in Falls Village. It was a perfect fit. Applications was made with town meeting approval, and in July of 2013, much to everyone's amazement, the application was approved. Falls Village received $450,000, almost the maximum, a lot of money for the second smallest town in Connecticut. Unfortunately, the rules had changed, and the town needed $62,350 in matching funds. Not everyone was pleased. Some thought development would corrupt the rustic charm of Main Street, and many thought the new sidewalks and streetlights unnecessary, and that the money could be better spent defraying costs of a new multi-million-dollar firehouse that had been proposed. Debate was vigorous, but matching funds were finally raised. Allied Engineering of North Canaan was hired to draw up the blueprints, and Bob Gilchrist, a landscape architect, headed the team. Bids were solicited, and they all ran way too high. So cuts to the design were made. Streetlights would only go halfway the length of the project. Granite curbing would be curtailed. Brick paving alongside the sidewalks would be limited to the town center. This time the bid stayed within budget. The low bid came from Millennium Builders. Work began in September 2014, paused for winter, and concluded in spring 2015. Folks began using the sidewalks almost immediately.
I'm busy. Yeah, hold on. Got a lot of space. No, I wasn't happy sitting next to you. You were sitting next to us this all? Yeah.
Hi, Eric. They've actually been around for a while, but they just started being recognized in 1995 when the registry opened. There's about 4,000 horses registered now. Oh no, horses in both directions.
In the late 1800s, Falls Village was a busy, prosperous town. David M. Hunt was among its most prominent residents. He was part owner of a successful iron ore business like this one, and later became an affluent, trusted financier. He was a respected member of the Masons and a state representative. He lived in this house in the Huntsville section of Falls Village. He was never married. When he died of dysentery or diphtheria at the young age of 48, he left his fortune of $100,000 to his 3 maiden sisters who lived with him. Two of his sisters, in turn, left money for a 2-story brick building to be used as a library and a school. Work began in June 1890 and was completed in January 1891. The D.M. Hunt Library became the center of social and cultural activities in Falls Village and remains so to this day.
We have tours going on 7 days a week.
They should come to you, yeah.
Let me know where it is. I'm right here.
That's what he said, right?
Yeah, well, we have to do it down first.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said
And I don't mean that in a bad way.
You want to put it back up?
And we can just hang it on a minute. It's a drive. It's right there. Go
I said whether it's intrinsic or I say that's it doesn't make a difference if you. Well, actually, I found that kind of unique. I was just talking to you.
Windowsill, right? The day of the auction, there's one woman
Hello, my dear. I've been here. I love that piece of gentleman. I'm not sure.
I'm trying to get in there. I was saying, like,
Every Tuesday and Thursday morning, parents bring their little ones to the D.M. Hunt Library for Story Hour with Rita Delgado. Today, in honor of Thanksgiving, the children will also learn how to make dinner rolls.
And even the lazy dog. What did he smell? Oh. And where do you think they all went? Oh my goodness! They went all over the place. They went into this cage too.
I love this book.
I know. There, well done.
I like it.
Okay, now more. Clap some more. Keep clapping. Oh my my goodness, and more, woo-hoo! Keep clapping. Oh my goodness, clap some more. Some more. Look what grew on the tree. Flower buds, little flower buds. Wow. Okay, now, Campion, can you touch each bud? Can you go boom, 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 boom? Can you touch them? Apples. What color are the apples? Green. Green. Do you see the green apples? It's Thanksgiving. It is Thanksgiving. In October, we were singing about the colorful leaves. Where did the leaves go, Missy? Is she getting a little bit bigger? From the beginning of the book? I think she is. Let's see what it, right? Who remembers what happens by the end of the book? Does anybody remember? Ah, that's well. Oh, what do you see flying around the tree? Well, Jaron gave it a jiggle. Oops. Jacob, what do you think's going to happen?
What is it?
What do you think? Oh! Plop, 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 kerplop. Okay, now it's your turn, Bram. Knock on the trunk. Go knock, knock, knock. Knock, 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 like you knock on a door. Okay, then stop. Three. Uh-oh. Oops. Because it might have been a little too hard because the dots got blown off the paper.
This is how tiny they
on YouTube and
are.
Google bad chocolate or the secret about chocolate, you'll find
Yeah, they have
a lot.
tiny heads.
Okay,
like
who's
this.
gonna guys, come on over here. Come on over here, I need you closer. I need you closer. It's flour. Okay, can everybody, can you put in a little bit of flour for me? One of those.
Yes.
Can you put one of those in the bowl? Fill it up. You can fill it up. There you go. Pop it in. No, it's okay. Pop it in. Very good. Okay. Now, can you put one scoop in? Just one. Thank you. Well, Nassim can do it. Nassim? Yes. Oh, thank you. You guys are such good turn takers. Okay, now I'm going to put the yeast in. Watch this. I'm going to put about, fill about.
Do you know the sex of the baby?
This is what's going to make it.
Do you
And then who's a good mixer?
I'm very good.
You're very good. Okay. I'm going to pour the water in, and then I'm going to let you guys mix. How's that?
All of us?
All of you. And guess what? Everybody counts. Everybody mixes for 10. That's how we do it. Go ahead, Francis. Let's count for her. 8, 9, 10. Okay, Molly girl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. Okay. Oops. Wait a minute. Nassim. Okay, Nassim. I think Rita's going to do a couple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you know what this is called? This mixture of a little bit of the flour and the yeast and the water is called a slurry. Can you say slurry? A slurry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and now, Jaron.
I'm not going to do it.
Oh, you're not? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Look, friends, look how smooth it looks now because you're such good mixers. I'm going to take this dough
My puppies are in.
and I'm going to cut it. Wait. And everybody's going to have some dough. Okay, you're going to roll. Roll. Okay. You ready to... Nassim, are you going to roll a little roll?
Yeah.
And you're going to roll. You're going to roll,
We'll show you how to do it.
There you go. And you know what? It's a very forgiving dough. So however you do it,
Go ahead and grab it. Just
it'll
like
be
a baseball.
fine.
Grab
Okay.
it.
Oh, good job.
I'm ready.
You're ready? Okay. Here's more. Here's more. Nassim, are you ready? Not yet.
I'm ready.
We are almost done. And I'm going to cover this and put it outside. Can you pop that one in there? And guess what?
We have to do
Look what I baked for you this morning.
What is it?
These are rolls that you're going to be able to have with snacks. It's going to be part of our birthday.
I'm ready.
It's the 3rd of December, and the D.M. Hunt Library hosts its 6th annual Artists and Craft Market.
But it's such a mystery. And it's the same.
But nature loses all of it.
Exactly.
From Isabella Friedman.
Down, 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 and around.
Good to see you. What are you doing tomorrow? You want to take a look at that? Yeah. Let me take a look at it. Have a look? Yeah. Let's have a look.
Every month, the D.M. Hunt Library exhibits the work of a local artist, like these portraits of Falls Village residents by photographer Rogerio Luz. Pressure cookers have been around for hundreds of years. They cook foods in 1/3 the time or less. They use less energy. Foods retain their nutrients, and inexpensive cuts of meat come out tender. You simply add water or broth to the ingredients from the recipe, lock the lid into place, and heat the pressure cooker on your stovetop. The water boils and creates steam. The steam pushes down on the water, preventing molecules of water from rising up, heating the water and the contents of the pressure cooker hotter and hotter.
This smells good.
Rita Delgado, the children's librarian, has had many years' experience with pressure cookers. Let's join her at the library.
Okay, now I'm ready. Now I'm ready because this is what most people imagine. Most people imagine, and they all have horror stories, that this is the kind of equipment, including a Kevlar vest, which I did not borrow from my son who's a Marine, that this is what you need to cook with a pressure cooker. They also said don't use it for anything that you know, but no, you can. Here, I did the
What's that spice?
this is, it was supposed to be harissa, but I didn't have any, so this is like a garlic hot sauce. When you get your pressure cooker that you take care of, you want to wash it, you want to dry it, and every now and again, every few times, put a little vegetable oil on it. In food. Also, you save money. How do you save money? Kind of well loved, well used. Want some soup? You're going to see how fast we're going to be able to make soup. Reading call for ginger. Everybody likes ginger? Great. There we go.
He made beans and rice, and it was very flavorful. And that, I think, is that because?
Yes, part of the pressure cooker. There's certain things you should do. You should put fresh herbs in at the end of the cooking. Dry herbs you can put in the beginning, into there. And that's got to soak for a bit, so we just want to mix that up. There's a spoon. So we need 4 cups of water. Each recipe had 2 cups. And then when the coconut milk is open, whoever opened it can dump it right in. Okay, 1 and a 2. You might need a... Okay, so I put everything in here that needs to go in. Don't forget to put the little jiggler top on, right? You gotta do that. Those are interchangeable. Now I'm going to put up to high. No, I know. So now we'll put, this is a New Orleans bread pudding recipe. You want to use about 1/4. Okay, I'm not going to put it back in the soup because I know. And as soon as I get this all set, ready to put it in. See? It's coming. Come on, baby.
And they you can now. The book that came with my pressure cooker said.
Right? That's how we knew that dinner was almost ready. You know? What do you do if you're cooking something that has 2 different cooking times? What do you think you do?
You boil it before.
You stop the pressure cooker, you bring the pressure down, and a tiny drizzle. Oh, you smell that? You can smell it now. You hear that?
Yeah.
That's about the speed you want. That's some vegetables, very delicate vegetables, and there's a whole chart. Erica?
Yes, let me go get it.
Okay, now, check it out, folks. This is what the soup looks like. There we go. Watch, here we go. And we don't, see, that's it, you don't want that condensation. Ta-da!
Oh. Ooh, and it's very soft.
Bread pudding is done. Wait a minute. Now what I'm going to do, I'm not going to trip. I'm going to put this under cold water to release the pressure. You following me?
Yeah.
Okay, Erica, we're coming to do a quick release of the pressure now.
Okay, here I go. Ow.
Oh boy.
So what do I do?
No, just need, that's all the room I need. Okay. Thank you. And it was good that I had people helping chop onions. Oh, Karen is some onion chopper. Whoa.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't. Sometimes it does. Get a little. I'm going to throw those peas in there. Throw the cilantro in there.
You want some chicken?
You're going to try it now. Okay, Mary Lou's going to try some chicken, right?
Did you hear
There's a
that?
flow.
Aki Jasmine, the assistant librarian on the left, helps beginners learn the craft of knitting.
Tightens it.
Fascinating. Oh my gosh.
Must have done
I'm
something
doing it. Okay,
wrong.
we'll see if I can remember.
Right.
Slingshot around. Only one.
There could be some
Up and over.
Uh-oh.
Back.
This thing's a mess. What is the
matter
with this?
Find that all your stitches are into the front door,
Probably should have.
run around the back,
We never really got a straight
out
answer
through the
about
window,
why
off jumps
it
Jack.
happened the way it did, but
That's
he
a good
sure
little rhyme.
was.
into the front door,
So what?
run around the back, out through the window, off jumps Jack.
Okay.
All right?
Got that.
Never be the same. Think you'll ever get the truth?
I think my yarn is too thick. I think that's too thick, don't you?
Do you have another pink?
I do, but I'm not sure it's any thinner. What do you think? About the same,
I like
right?
it better. I like the
Yeah,
color
I like the
better.
color better too. This is.
But, yeah, I'm very happy with it.
Yeah.
And not,
So
and
it's
easy.
just the, is it just the garter stitch? Just,
It's not even, yeah, it's just straight knit,
Straight
but
knitting.
you knit one and then the next stitch you knit into the row below, the stitch
oh,
below.
yes,
Now
I
they
did
do
one.
One on the way.
One gets lost, right? Just
That's
one.
right.
That's one.
That's a decrease.
Okay.
Slip one, knit one, then
Okay.
pass that, slip
Okay.
one over is a decrease.
Okay. Are you
That way
saying
you
not to
know-
bother to decrease?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because then you have 18 stitches.
Okay, but I'm
Stitches
still
on
gonna
the
have a
collar.
slip, I'm still gonna have a slip stitch on the end.
Exactly.
Is that the
And
way, is that,
you know
am
why
I
that
supposed
is?
to?
It was nice to see
Look
him
at what a
too. And
nice-
then one other
Yes,
parent.
okay.
came
And we're
out
going
of
to
the,
pick these up.
I see. Okay, okay.
So we need those.
Okay.
Invited.
Yes,
But,
all right, so even on this end too.
enjoying the company of friends, but I want to welcome you all to Loaves in the Stacks at the DM Hunt Library here in Falls Village. This is the third year that we've had this fun event. It's a mixture of lovingly baked home goods by your neighbors, wine, beer, water, I guess we have non-alcoholic beverages, I hope. Hot chocolate too, actually. Now that's something for a snowy night. And you've all come out in the snow, just like last year. Same thing happened. We had a little snow. I think we're going to get a little more this night. But we're all warm in here, and we're all fun. We're all here to celebrate the library, and we're also here to celebrate poetry.
The name of this selection is A Girl Named Jack. Good enough name for me, my father said the day I was born. Don't see why she can't have it too. But the women said no, my mother first. Then each aunt, pulling my pink blanket back, patting the crop of thick curls, tugging at my new toes, touching my cheeks. We won't have a girl named Jack, my mother said. And my father's sisters whispered, a boy named Jack was bad enough.
Books are magical. Open one and you're halfway around the world. Or you're in another era. The Hunt Library celebrates books the first Saturday of every month at its book sale.
Downstairs. Do we pay down there, or do we bring it back up here? There's someone downstairs.
Yes, there is somebody downstairs. Yeah.
Okay, what a nice bag that is.
There's something about dentistry on it.
What did I say, 23? Yeah.
23, right? Right.
Did you carry over this for us? I got one for Dad. Thank you very much.
See how heavy it is.
Okay.
Right. See you later. Bye. Yeah, did you? Yeah.
Yeah. One we both really like.
Yeah. There were some fascinating things, and part of it was the tremendous variety of stuff. Just, yeah.
Hey Lulu, you want to learn how to paint butterflies? There's a book here about painting butterflies.
You do it, Woods.
Hi, Erica.
Hi, how are you?
You're fine. You're the executive director of the library.
I am. I have been for 5 years now.
Well, congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
And we're standing in the room where the book sale is.
Right. The sales of the books make up about 10% of the library budget, which is very important to us because we are one of the smallest libraries in the state. And we do get some funding also from the town, but being it's such a small town, we don't get as much per capita as other towns, which is a little bit of a struggle, but these book sales really help tremendously. And the nice thing also about these book sales is that we have an incredible group of volunteers who have been here since the inception of the book sales, which was in 1984. And we actually have one volunteer who's been there, who's been doing the book sales. You know, that means sorting the books and placing them on the shelves for that amount of time. And I can't even imagine what we'd do without all the volunteers that we have in this library, because it's just rich with goodwill and a lot of good work. Some of the things about this room that, even besides its wainscoting, is this incredible piece of original work from the tile work. I think it comes from Wisconsin, and it's never been redone, but it's just gorgeous. And we even we have lots of treasures in this library that you don't even see anymore. This is one of the nicest buildings in town, I'd say. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah.
So the other thing about upstairs here, we do have the Connecticut room, which I'd like to show you.
Sure.
Okay, that's this way. This is our Connecticut room. This room is lovingly taken care of by Betty Taberski. Betty Taberski used to be a resident here. Her kids grew up in Falls Village, and then she and her husband, Ed Taberski, who used to be the gym teacher at the high school, they moved to Salisbury. But Betty regularly comes here, and she is the person who keeps all of our records. And this will give you an idea of the kind of things that Betty has done. Oh, there's something that's... records all about Falls Village and some of the surrounding towns, but you have everything from artists to churches, and and all this information goes back to probably the early 1800s. We do have things like cemetery records of North Canyon and Falls Village and all of those things. This is like a little bit of a historic snapshot of this area.
You learned the business of being a librarian from Cookie Kubarik.
That's true.
And Doris Longhaven.
That's true. And Cookie was my boss. She was the director for when I was here, and I was the children's librarian. And she was actually a wonderful boss, one of the most understanding and patient people I know. And she was always very friendly, and that she took from Doris Longhaven, who always insisted that you give your patrons the time of day and make them feel like they're welcome. So that's something that we try to instill here at the library with everyone who works here, and I think we do a pretty good job.
I think you do too. I love it here. I love the people here.
Well, that's good. So come on into this next room. This room is where we keep our old-time mysteries, and not everyone knows about this, but we have all the wonderful old writers. We have Marjorie Allingham and all sorts of writers, old Robert Parkers and, Ann Perry's, and even, wonderful Josephine Tay. We keep them over here, and this is also the book room where we keep some of the leftovers from the book sales. And as you can see, there's still kind of a mess here. This has gotten much better. One of my goals is to empty this room and possibly put the Connecticut room in here so that we can have the files here and possibly get a scanner and have a work area for people to come and do some research, and then move these wonderful old mysteries into the other room. So as you can see, if you pan up, you can see that we have a little bit of a problem with our plaster. It's old. This is original, which was 1891, and it needs to be taken care of. We're currently waiting for monies from a STEEP grant to do that. So hopefully this room will be taken care of, and once we empty it out, I think that's when we'll do the switch.
Where were you born?
I was born in New York City.
Is that right? Uh-huh.
But when I was just a baby, my parents moved to England. So I actually grew up in England.
What part of England?
London.
London.
Yeah.
Right there in the metropolis.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So you've been around culture all your life.
Really, my father is somewhat of a famous artist. My father's, and I've always been interested in art and music.
Uh-huh.
And no stupid people. In fact, there's a watercolor done by my father.
He made a living as an artist?
Yeah, but it wasn't such a good living. he never became. He was always poor. Yeah. But he's a good artist. He has pictures of his all over the world. Anyway, my father emigrated, came to the United States. He was in San Francisco with one of his brothers at the time of the earthquake. That was 1905. Yeah, it was.
You grew up in London.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go to boarding school or public school?
Yeah, I went to public school and boarding school.
Uh-huh.
And public schools.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I didn't get much of an education.
What do you mean?
Well, I only went to school till I was about 14.
Really?
Yeah.
And then you kind of dropped out and went to work?
Well, I went to work, but didn't quite drop out. I went to sea.
Went to sea?
I became a sailor, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so at the age of 14, I went to, and I sailed up and during the Second World War.
For heaven's sakes, were you in the military?
No, not in the military.
The Merchant Marines.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Merchant Marines. I don't know anything about them.
Well, those are the ships that are carrying goods back and forth to our country and to other places. Yeah. And of course, during the war, they were used for carrying troops and military supplies. This is a book that I have a neighbour, nice neighbour next door. He gave me this for my birthday present. And here is this is a map. You can see of the Atlantic Ocean, and all those little dot crosses there. Those are merchant ships sunk by German U-boats in 1941-42.
You were out of the Merchant Marines by the time the Korean War started?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And then what did you do? Did you move to San Francisco?
No, at that time I was living in Seattle.
Seattle?
Yeah.
Playing music?
You know, that's where I got started on music. I always loved music. You know, the thing is, even when I was going to sea, I used to go. Well, No, I used to go to concerts, things like that. Always, and it's interesting. I always loved music. I never had any opportunity to play because I didn't go to school much really, because I was 14 when I went to see it. So I didn't have much of a formal education. I was walking along the street with a young lady. I could see this vividly, remember it. And in the course of the conversation, I said to her, I certainly wish I had learned to play a musical instrument. And she said, you can still do that. I said, how? And she told me about the recorder. There's such a thing, she told me about that. She said, just go to any music store, you can get that, and you can learn. So this is in Seattle. I went around to all these different music stores, and none of them had recorders. I couldn't find it. And eventually I found a little music store, and I went in and asked him, and the man who ran the store said, well, we don't have anything like that, but I got something better, something for you. He had an old wooden flute with one key, 6 holes. He said, you can have this for $5. So I bought that for $5. I couldn't even make a sound on it. And every day I'd blow. I couldn't make a sound. But eventually I did find a recorder at a music store, and I learned to play it. That's when I moved to San Francisco, and I still continued. I took lessons from good teachers, and I got, good enough to play in bands, and I got into instrument repairing. That was my real skill. Natural skill is mechanics, so I got into that, and I got to be the most I'd say the leading band instrument repair person in San Francisco. I had a wonderfully equipped shop. That's me in my workshop, fixing a saxophone. And that picture there is a patent I have on a clarinet, improved clarinet mechanism. I even taught. Here is a person that hadn't even gone to high school, and I became an instructor at the college, and I had to do a course in all the music education majors had to take this course. It was a care and repair of instruments. So I on the side I was teaching her.
Where did you learn how to do this?
Well, the repairing, I learned that partially from other people, older repairmen. But my natural mechanical abilities, I can work things out.
Even as a child, you were mechanically inclined.
You know, in England they had something, I don't know if they have it anymore, called Meccano. What's the thing? Right? That's my favorite toy. There's all these metal parts and you put them together. I made everything that was in the book, and I had to make other things too. That was one of my favorite toys.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So that's my natural talent is in that direction, mechanical thing.
You've led an interesting life. You've
that
loved.
isn't half of it.
Well,
All the interesting people I've met.
You met Jean-Pierre Rampal.
Jean-Pierre Rampal, yeah.
The world's
doing very well. In fact, I played with him. About Rampal because he was very well known in France, but not in the rest of the world. So eventually I heard about him coming to America. He's going to make this trip to America, concert trip to America all over. And I talked to so I knew people in the symphony in San Francisco, the musicians. Nobody ever heard of it.
Really?
Yeah, well, he wasn't.
He wasn't known over here.
He wasn't known here.
Uh-huh.
He was just known in music circles in France because he'd graduated from the Paris Conservatory. I wrote to him and said, the flutists in San Francisco are a real thrill to have you come here. So, and I talked to them, they never heard of him. The people in the symphony, nobody heard of him. I met him at the airport, took him to, he didn't even play in San Francisco, he played in a little tiny place, no bigger than my apartment, I think, in Berkeley, across San Francisco Bay, the college there. So every year he'd come to San Francisco, so I'd see him. We do things, and I never had a lesson from him. I asked him, and he said, "Oh, I'll give you a lesson." I never did get a lesson from him. But we talked sometimes about the flute, but he was interested in doing other things. Yeah, so, yeah. So everything. I got a lot. Well, this is a picture. This is after a concert in, I don't know, some place in the Bay Area. That's me, and that's my wife, and that's him after the concert. After the concert. I got a lot of pictures. This is a picture. This is actually shortly before he died. But this is. I was living in Oregon then, and this was a man that he was a student of mine. I gave him lessons. It's my wife, and that's his wife, and this is after after a concert he played, he changed his clothes, and we had dinner. And this is another flute player, Claudio Arimani. That's right after a dinner we had at a restaurant next to the somewhere I must have I've got a lot of pictures. Let's see. Well, this is his eating dinner. He was a great eater. He was overweight, anyway. This is dinner after a concert. Well, that's the same picture. This is at dinner at the same place. Well, this is just. Hey, this is me as a little boy.
That's you as a little boy?
No, that's me.
That's you?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Here's me on my training ship. I'm in here before I went to sea. That's me. A training ship. That's a training ship. It's anchored in the middle of the Thames River. That's my mother and me in New York as a baby. Oh, there's my father. Oh, there's me playing that wooden flute, my first flute.
Wow. Beautiful.
Let's see. Oh, this is all a dinner with Paul. That's the same picture, I think. Yeah, I did a lot of things, touristy things with him and playing with him. Because we'd go to the doctor's house and we'd play trios and stuff like that. Oh.
This is your mother and father up here?
No, that's me and my wife on that 50th.
You and your wife.
A 50th wedding anniversary.
Beautiful. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a picture. This is a picture of my father. It's a pastel by a famous artist, Gordia Brodzky, who was I cut this out of a magazine. That's Gordia Brodzky did that. And, that's a painting. That's me, done by my father. Let's see. There's a book about my father. Yeah.
This is one of his paintings?
Yeah, yeah.
He was good.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a man. I think he's a dentist in Australia. He's an art lover who discovered my father, and then he did a lot of research, and he wrote this book about him.
Oh, for heaven's sakes!
So it's got a lot of his pictures in there. Well, here's my father. That's what he looked like. He smoked a pipe. He also,
Is that him?
Yeah, that's him. One of my uncles, or that would be one of my father's brothers, was a journalist on Fleet Street in London, and my father wrote an art column in his one of his. That's my father, and this is a bust made of him by a man who became a very famous artist and sculptor. So this whole book, this is some of it. This is some of his work. Oh.
These are pictures your father
Yeah,
did?
yeah.
Look at the colors.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
there's Stonehenge, you know, part of it.
What's this one over here?
I don't know what it is, what it says. I haven't got my glasses on. Anyway, so he did a lot of stuff for the theater. When he was in New York, he'd make posters for the theater. So these are all works of his. We got a Yeah, he's in museums all over the world. Yeah, that's London. That's similar to the watercolor that's on the stairs.
Yes.
That's his. Yeah. Did a lot of nudes, and that's in the Cafe Royal in London. Anyway, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he's a pretty good artist. And of course, he had this. Oh, where was this? In here somewhere. Oh. So, what else?
Well, do you feel like playing something for me?
Well, I'll do that. Yeah, no, I'm not in too good a shape. I'll try something.
Okay, sir.
Where should you do it? You know, this is where I practice.
Well, this is fine.
Oh, well, let me.
Yeah, this is great.
I didn't expect to do this. No, I haven't played for a little while. So I'm not this great flute player.
Wow. Nice.
This is a flute. Made of silver. I haven't played for a few days, so I don't know what it's going to be like.
It'll be fine.
You want to see? You should sit down.
Can I sit on the bed?
Yeah, you can sit on the bed. This has got to be right. Well, we'll see if this... Oh. Let's see. Oh. These are just some exercises or something like that. Huh? This is my daughter that you just met, and her husband. My daughter, Felicia, and her husband, Joel. This is my oldest son.
What's his name?
His name is Michael, and he's a lawyer in Toronto.
Ah.
And this is a picture that he had taken in an art museum somewhere in Canada, and that's a bust of my father, that was made by Henri Brodzky, famous sculptor and artist, contemporary of my father.
How about these pictures up here on the wall?
The picture, oh, that's my family. That's my daughter that you just met, Felicia.
Felicia.
And that's my second daughter, just, my mind works slowly. Thea.
Thea?
Thea.
Uh-huh.
And that's my grandson.
That's your other son?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Jason.
Jason.
Yeah. He's working for his son. My grandson is a very successful businessman. He's got his own business. I don't exactly understand what he's doing. So my son is working for his son.
Wow. Yeah.
And this is in the downtown in San Francisco during a visit. That's.
You sure that wasn't New York, Mr. Brodsky? I think that was New York.
Did I say San Francisco?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
That's in New York.
Uh-huh.
And that's one of my grandsons.
What's his name?
His name is Brandon.
Brandon.
Yeah. And this is my Felicia's daughter, Kiara. She lives in New York. And this is my other grandson, Kyle, who lives in California.
Oh, here's a nice picture. That looks like your daughter, Felicia, on the far left. And next to her, I think, is your daughter-in-law, Anne. And then your son, Michael. Then you. And then two of your grandchildren, Miranda and Erica.
And this is me and my wife. It's either, I remember this very well. This is on the beach just north of San Francisco. And it's either just before we got married or just after we got married. Just at that time.
Well, what was her name?
My wife, Margaret.
Margaret.
Yeah, was originally McBride, Margaret McBride. She was a nurse from British Columbia, and she was a nurse in San Francisco.
This looks like you, Mr. Brodsky. How old were you? About 30? Yeah.
This is Down. That's my grandson.
Great-grandson.
Yeah, but since then, they've had another boy.
Well, give me a smile and I think we'll be out of here.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay.